I know that I should go to more places, but I'm really exhausted by the places I already go to. I really hate this. It's really taxing and quite grueling, and I just don't feel like it. Even though I know that I'm so good at it. I'm so good at it. It takes so much out of me just to do whatever you see. And I know that my gift is in the moment. So many people are rehearsing. They're constantly practicing. Well, I'm practicing when I'm driving. Yeah, I'm practicing when I'm working. I'm practicing when I'm doing other things. I think eventually I'll be able just to wing it. Eventually I'll say all the things that I want to say and motherfucking mean it. Eventually. I won't have this large stack of notes that you see. I'll just be able to say whatever I want to say. My car feels like the loudest car in the world. And I know it's because she's a tiny little thing driving on the interstate. So she's naturally noisy. She's naturally boisterous. But the fact that she's still kicking it should fill me with unbridled happiness. A lot of things fill me with unbridled happiness. You know, all the jokes that I find really, really clever, nobody finds that funny. But I know that God is laughing. He's sitting on his throne and he's saying, good for you, honey. You said it, even though they didn't get it. You still said it, and I'm so proud of you for that. Oh, good news, you guys. I'm making serious headway on the Psalms musical. So I told you that what I do is I read the Psalms and I come up with maybe a sentence or two and I write it down because I find it to be so very profound and part of the bigger picture that I'm trying to get through. So I put it in a little notebook and I add it to a bigger notebook later on after I get home, because I do this at work typically, or I do this when I do other things. So I'm halfway through the Psalms in the large binder. So I've got 75 Psalms because I decided I gotta split it because it's way too large a project. But in the little notebook I have, I think the last one I did was, I'm on Psalm 101. There are 150 Psalms, so I just got 49 more to go. But I'm still gonna do half the musical. I'm gonna perform it somewhere, either tonight or tomorrow, perhaps. I think you should do it tomorrow, because then you can do it when the sun comes up, and then you can spend the remainder of the morning doing chores, stuff that you really don't want to do. We already be so enthused because you're singing about God, so you want to take care of yourself, you know? Like pay bills, buy cleaning supplies, all this life shit, I'm no good at it. Even though I have a good job and I pay all my bills, I really hate it, I really hate it, I really hate it. And then I think in the kingdom of heaven you don't have to do any of this shit. And in the kingdom of heaven you don't have to worry about all these human things that are so very annoying. You don't have to worry about governments. We don't need a government in the kingdom of heaven. That perfect utopian vision that Karl and Friedrich promised, that's what we get. It's not communism, it's communalism. They totally fucked it up, but that's okay. We forgive, that's all we do. But unfortunately, the commies don't want us to live. So you have to fight for what you believe in, and you have to fight to the death. And I really don't want to do that, but there will be nothing left for the future generations if you just toss in your hat and pretend that you don't give a fuck when it's clear that you really give a fuck. More of a fuck than everybody in your country, more of a fuck than everybody in your good for nothing godforsaken degenerate country. And I don't say that cause I hate the country, I say that cause I love the country. I want the country to be the best country that we can possibly be. But do you think that other people really want that? I doubt it. Because when it comes down to fighting for what's right, they're nowhere to be found. They're somewhere on their phone elsewhere, looking something up, and they're really annoyed because of how long it's taking them to download something, or maybe there's no Wi-Fi where they are, you know, some bullshit like that. And when you realize that these are your fellow human beings, when you realize that this is what they call civilization, when you realize this is society, when you realize that God has forced you to be living amongst a bunch of dunderheads, you wish you were dead, you prefer that instead of being alive on this planet. But at the same time, I love you, God, and I know that this is a gift, and I know that you just want me here to understand it and to try to make sense out of it and try to help other people live with this shit. So I'm reading this book currently. Well, I'm actually reading 2 books currently, both by the same author, a prominent prominent psychiatrist in the 60s who wrote 20 books discounting and invalidating psychiatry as a practice. Because he said, we don't need this is all about control, it's all about coercion. But if you look at the sheep, there's no slightest bit of suspicion. Now do you understand my level of exasperation? Nation, with my nation. I want to show y'all what I've been doing. Hold on a second. This is the guy I'm talking about, by the way. His name is Thomas Zaz. He's from Budapest, and he's a medical doctor, and he works in psychiatric facilities. He's like a prominent psychiatrist, and yeah, this other book of his called The Myth of Mental Illness. I mean, these are really quick reads too. I mean, if you want to know like how this is written, like this is really interesting. Now this, of course, this is the Untamed Tongue, a dissenting dictionary, and it's like a satirical book all about how everything that you've been told about psychiatry, drugs, more importantly, the war on drugs, diseases, just the medical profession in general, it's all a bunch of gobbledygook. But listen to this. No drug can expand consciousness. The only thing a drug can expand is the earnings of the company that makes it. Fuck yes, Thomas. Oh, I love this. The FDA calls certain substances controlled, but there are no controlled substances. There are only controlled persons. Very true. Now you can say that about drugs that they regulate and drugs that they don't regulate. You know, for example, they try to control people through the drugs, by the drugs, for the pharmaceutical companies. And then you have people that are on drugs, that do drugs, that like drugs, that enjoy drugs, that appreciate drugs, that know how to control themselves. And they really put a damper on this, you know, whole idea that, you know, people are diseased if they can't control themselves. You know, I don't think that means that you have a disease. Say you like to drink a lot. I mean, here's the thing, you guys. I spent a lot of time in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I used to get very heated arguments with people in there. Because I said, I don't think this shit's a disease. And then I just decided to stop going to meetings, because I was like, it's obvious that you don't really fit in here. Because it's for sheep, you know? Totally for sheep. That's why, you know, churches, sheep, school, sheep. You know, like, anytime there's like a large gathering of people, you can guarantee all those people are sheep. I mean, maybe every once in a while you'll see somebody that's not a total idiot, but for the most part, sporting events, concerts, amusement parks, all fucking sheep, okay? It's true. It's fucking true, and you know it's true. If you're part of this, why are you watching this channel? Go kill yourself. I don't care if you die. Anyway, I'm kidding. That was satire, okay? Calm down. I don't hate you. I just can't stand you. You make my life miserable, okay? Just looking at you, just watching you exist. You probably eat crap food, and you don't read, and you watch terrible TV shows, and you like the main character of Breaking Bad because you think he's a badass. Yeah, you know, the sheep are just despicable creatures of the earth that just, they just leech. They're leeches. They leech. Just suck up all of the actual joy and happiness that you can attain on planet Earth. But anyway, back to what I was saying about the disease of drug addiction and alcoholism. I think that with addiction, what it is OCD. It's as simple as that. But should we call it OCD? Should we just call it something else? Now, I kind of want to come up with new terms for every motherfucking thing, including schizophrenia. I mean, I already call it something else, but you call it the kaleidoscope. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a kaleidoscope. I feel like I need to call it something. I feel like I need like at least like 25 new definitions, or I need new terms, new labels, you know, because I don't like to use their labels, because then it's like they get to control you, they get to tell you who you are. They don't expect you to like volunteer this information though. Like somebody asked me the other day, they asked me like, when were you diagnosed? And I was like, I wasn't diagnosed. I figured this out on my own. Like, why do you have to be diagnosed? What does it matter anyway if you're diagnosed? It doesn't mean shit.